This blind man was playing the piano when he saw a corpse lying in the living room, but he couldn't show any tension and could only make an excuse to go to the bathroom. When passing through the living room, in order to make himself seem more like a blind person, he deliberately stepped on the red wine. He thought that when he got to the bathroom, he could calm down his emotions, but unexpectedly, it was even more terrifying here because the murderer was now holding a gun and standing behind him. Fortunately, he was calm enough and didn't arouse the other party's suspicion. When passing through the living room on the way back, he clearly saw that the person lying on the ground was exactly the husband of this woman, and he was also a well-known rich businessman locally. Although Nick was extremely panicked inside, he could only pretend to be calm and continue playing the piano. At this time, the woman pretended to contact the rich businessman and said that the rich businessman would arrive in 10 minutes. Then they started to deal with the body of the rich businessman. They put the body into the suitcase, and then Jessie walked to the front door and pretended to welcome the rich businessman home, and then she took out the recording of the rich businessman before his death and pretended to be chatting with the rich businessman. But before saying a few words, Jessie lied that the rich businessman was going out, and the murderer put on the rich businessman's clothes and dragged the luggage out of the house. After getting out of the rich businessman's house, Nick thought for a long time and finally decided to go to the police station. Who knew that as soon as he said to the police that he wanted to report a murder, that murderer actually walked out. Didn't expect that murderer was a police chief. Nick was panicked. He could only say that his family's cat had been killed, but the police chief didn't believe this explanation. He suspected that Nick wasn't a real blind person. In order to verify his guess, the police chief went to Nick's home with Nick. He repeatedly tested Nick in various ways, and even took out a small knife and threw it at Nick's head. But Nick didn't show any flaws. At this time, the police chief also thought that he had overthought, and then left here. However, Nick also decided to hide this matter.